When you are starting with 3D printing, there are some steps you might need to take before printing something out of your 3D printer. Coming up on Zachary 3D Prints. This is Zachary from Zachary 3D Prints. So when it comes with 3D printing and you want to get something out of your 3D printer, something like a model or something else, there are a few steps that you want to take to get that far. First thing, you need to have an idea. It can be something that you saw on television, you maybe saw somewhere else, something that you would like to 3D print yourself or completely make it. So you have got sites like My Mini Factory, Thingiverse, different kind of 3D websites where you can get your files out. Then you also have this thing that you can make yourself, like a holder for your tools, some other things that you might need in and around your house or maybe somewhere else. So that's the first thing, you start with an idea. Then we go to step number 2. You're starting with a 3D design in case of you having an idea that you need to work out, but you can also have a 3D scanner, scan something and then make there a 3D print model of. And also, of course, in case of My Thingiverse or My Mini Factory or some other 3D models website, you need to download the file. So that was step number 2. If you like this content so far or like this video, please hit the thumbs up, that would help my channel a lot. So now we are going to step number 3 in this phase of how to start with your 3D printing. So when you have downloaded the file, it probably is an STL file. The file that you need to use for something like a slicer program. When you are in the process of working on this slicing software and on your 3D model, you have to think about which kind of filament I need to use. In case of this model, you probably have enough on PLA. You don't have that much heat needed to 3D print something with it, and it's also better for the smell. If there are some other applications of your 3D printed model, like something like a structural part for an in-move robot, then PLA is not sufficient and you need something like ABS or PTG or different other kind of filaments that are much stronger and more heat resistant. There are some slicer programs like Prusa Slicer 2.1, I believe we are already on that, or Acura Slicer 4.4 or 4.3 or Simplify 3D. There are different kind of slicing software that you can use to work on your 3D model. And then when you are in the slicing program, you need to think about a few things. If you need to have some infill, if you need to have some supports, different kind of things you might need in the stage of slicing your model, because there is a big difference between a successful 3D print or a failure. Sometimes I also saw it for myself yesterday evening, and I did a little miscalculation and my 3D printed model went gone. That's why I always try to look the first 5 till 10 minutes when 3D printing. So you had the first step, you had an idea. The second step, getting your idea into a shape. The third part was getting your model out of the computer to work in a file format that your slicing software need to use. Then also, which kind of application is your 3D printed part needed? Is it the part, is it the model? And then using a slicer software to put it over into a G-code file. In this part, your 3D printer is getting the right language to know exactly what to do with 3D printing a part or a model, whether you have a brim, a skirt, or different other kind of support material or other things. Everything is going to put on in a G-code file. After that, we are on step number 6. We are going to the last step, and that is printing itself. When you are putting it on a micro SD card, an SD card, using Wi-Fi, different kind of ways to get the G-code to your file. But I've got one tip for you. I started with 3D printing with my laptop on my 3D printer, and I got many failed prints because of one thing: updates of my laptop. When I'm not using my laptop, my laptop was going into doing upgrades and then restart, and my print failed big time. So when you don't want to have that, I've got a pro tip for you. Put it on an SD card and put it right into your 3D printer. You can also use something like Octoprint. That's a little printer server for 3D printing. So maybe in the future I will also cover that on this channel, how you can set up Octoprint on your 3D printer. And then when you are getting something out of your printer, there are some things that you need to take care of. When you are printing with PLA, no problem, just hit print and your print is coming out. In case of ABS or other material different than PLA, you might need an enclosure with the right heat, because ABS, if you print something like this in ABS, you will get some failures if the temperature is not right. So that was it for today's video. Little wrap up. When you're starting with 3D printer and you want to get something out of your 3D printer, you start with an idea, then you're going to work out, then you download it on your computer, you will translate it to a slicing software so that you know which kind of filament you're going to use, and then after that you're going to save it on a G-code file, and that you put on your 3D printer, and then you will get some nice 3D printed parts out of your 3D printer. That being said, thanks for watching. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel if you are not subscribed yet, and I will see you next time. Happy 3D printing, Zachary 3D Prints. Bye bye. Oh, and hey, if you wonder what this is a live stream on my Twitch account, Zachary 3D Prints on Twitch. Bye bye.